Hello children, and welcome to another maths lesson together. The focus today is to learn how to multiply a number by 10. Multiplying a number by 10 means we have a number 10 times, or it means we make a number 10 times greater or bigger. Let me show you a very simple multiplication calculation on my Abacus. Look at the first two rows. I've got pairs, I've got 2 here, and I've got it 10 times. So my calculation will be 2 multiplied by 10, which means we've got 2 10 times. However, I can also make another calculation that will give me the same product. 2 10 times is 20. But instead of having twos, groups of 2, I could have groups of 10. And this time I've got 10 twice, 10 multiplied by 2, but I've still got the same product of 20. So when we multiply by 10, it doesn't matter whether 10 is a multiplicand and is the first number in the calculation, or whether it's the multiplier and it's the second number in the calculation, the product will be the same. Let's use our base 10 to learn and see what happens when we make every digit 10 times greater or bigger. Let's start with 1, 1. If we have 1 10 times, 1, 2, 3, I'm sure you'll see that if we've got 10 ones, it's the same as a 10. 1 10 is 10 times greater than 1 1. If we wanted to multiply 10 by 10, if we've got 10 times, you can see that's the same as 100. So 100 is 10 times greater than 110. What about if we wanted to multiply 100 by 10? That means we've got 100 10 times. 10 hundredths is the same as 1,000. So 100 times 10 becomes 1,000. Did you notice that every time we multiplied a digit by 10 and made it 10 times greater, it moved into the next column on the place value grid? That's what happens when you multiply numbers by 10. The digits move one place to the left. Let's look at the first calculation on the board. We've got 4 multiplied by 10. That means 4 10 times, or 10 4 times. We're going to be making 4 10 times greater. So let me pop 4 in the ones column. We've learned that if we want to make 4 10 times greater, it's going to become 4 tens. If we look at my place value grid, something doesn't look right. We need to make sure that if we've got a space in our ones, then we put a 0 as a placeholder. So 4 multiplied by 10 is 40. The product is 40. Let's look at the next one. 10 multiplied by 16. So we're now going to make 16 10 times greater. If we make a 10 times greater, it becomes 100. If we make 6 ones 10 times greater, they become 6 tens. Can you remember what we need to do here? We have to put a 0 as a placeholder. The product is 160. So 16 10 times greater is 160. Our next one, 10 multiplied by 23, or 23 multiplied by 10, we're going to make 23 10 times greater. 2 tens made 10 times greater becomes 2 hundredths. 3 ones 10 times greater become 3 tens. What do we have to do? We have to replace the space with a 0. That's a little rhyme that I sometimes use to help myself. Replace the space with a 0. So the product of 10 multiplied by 23 is 230. 23, 10 times bigger, is 230. Okay, the next calculation, we're going to make 60 10 times greater. I wonder if you can predict what the product is going to be. Where do you think these two digits are going to move to if we're making them 10 times greater? 6 tens, 10 times greater is 6 hundredths. 0 ones, now that's a little bit more tricky, because if we've got a 0 there, we can't make that 10 times greater. So let's go back here, and this time, instead of saying I've got 0 ones, altogether we've got 60 ones. So now I can see why I moved both here. 60 ones 10 times greater becomes 60 tens. What do we have to do here? We have to replace the space with a 0. So 60 10 times greater becomes 600. And the final one is 10 multiplied by 308. So let me pop 308 in our place value grid. And I'm going to make all of this 10 times greater. I think you know by now that all of the digits, when you make them 10 times greater, they all move into the next column on the left. So you can still see 308, but instead of it being 308 ones, we've now got 308 tens, and we replace the space with a 0. The product is 3,080. The final activity we're going to look at together is on my board here. And the question at the top says, what's gone wrong? So what I'd like you to do, I'd like you to look at the 4 equations, and I'd like you to have a go now at seeing if you can work out what the correct product should be. We'll then go through at the end what went wrong. So pause the video now and see if you can work out the correct product for all 4, and then look really carefully at these products, and can you work out what went wrong? Right, let's look at the first one. We were meant to make 16 10 times greater. The correct product was 160. The 2 digit would move 1 space to the left and would replace the space with a 0. But what went wrong? They just swapped the digit round, and that is incorrect. Let's move on to the next one. We were making 23 10 times greater. What did you get for your product? I got 230. I will have moved each digit 1 space to the left and replaced the space with a 0. What went wrong here? If it was 123, we just added 100. And that's certainly not making something 10 times greater. We've just added a 100. And the third one. We wanted to make 49 10 times greater. What did you think the product should be? Did you get 490 by moving both of the digits 1 space to the left and replacing the space with a 0? That's the correct product. this person here, they made the 4 10s 10 times greater, but they didn't make the 9 1s 10 times greater, and they put the 0 as a placeholder in the 10s. And the final one, 32, 10 times greater. What did you get as your product? I got 320. I've made the digits 10 times greater and replaced the space with a 0. What do you think this person did here? They went from 32 to 42. What did they do? That's right, they just added a 10. If we add one more 10 to 3 10s, we get 4 10s. That's not 10 times greater, it's just one more 10. I hope that's helped you to understand how we multiply a number by 10. It's your turn now to have a go at the activities on the home learning sheet. Work hard. If you need to use your place value chart in your home learning pack, that's fine. Bye bye everybody, see you next time.